Hi, I'm Davina, and I'm recovering from complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse. And today I would like to share with you the losses that we face due to the narcissistic abuse in our childhood. And there are many. So I think the number one thing we lose is our authenticity. Um, and our authentic expression, which is, I think, why we're here on planet Earth, is to be ourselves. But of course, if we grow up with a narcissistic parent, our authenticity is often shamed, and so we begin to hide parts of ourselves, or vice versa, try to make ourselves look better in some way. And so, yeah, we are robbed of our basic authenticity. Another loss is our loss of connection with ourselves and with our inner wisdom. There becomes, of course, a big disconnect because on the one hand, we're trying to please our narcissistic parent, but then we are not being, loyal and faithful and true to ourselves. So we lose that connection with ourselves. And also we're constantly focused on them and what are they doing and how am I going to stay safe? And so we've really become other focused rather than inner focused. We have a loss of our own feelings, our ability to feel, and our ability to self-regulate. Because our feelings were never validated, we were never given empathy, or maybe very, very rarely. And our parents didn't help us regulate our feelings. So, feelings were looked at with anger and disgust, or were just dismissed. And so we never had the experience of, I'm feeling sad because I can't play with my friend today, or whatever it is. We never experienced any of that. So it would have been a very confusing world, for you or for any young child to experience, not understanding how these feelings and emotions in our body are, telling us very important things about who we are and what we value. We lose trust in ourselves because of all the gaslighting and invalidation. We no longer trust ourselves and our own inner instincts. Our natural instincts are not there anymore. And often we don't even know what's safe, what's not safe, or we don't trust our perceptions, we don't trust our feelings, because we then, of course, are gaslighting ourselves. So, we also lose our own boundaries. There are no boundaries in a narcissistic home. Your needs, your feelings are not respected. So, you don't have that sense of, this is me and this is, what I need, and other people respect those things. That doesn't happen in a narcissistic family. It's usually very enmeshed. You might have, the smothering parent, or you might have the parent who doesn't pay attention to you at all, or a little bit of both. So your boundaries are very, probably very porous. Along with that is our loss of sense of safety. Of course, how can we feel safe in a world or in a home where we don't have boundaries, where, if you say, please don't do that, it means nothing. Your parent can still do that. Your sibling can still do that. And not to mention, just constantly, again, that constantly on edge feeling, like wondering what's going to happen. Is my narcissistic parent going to be nice today, or are they going to be putting me down and criticizing me? So that also leads to the sense of just not feeling safe, not feeling comfortable in your own skin. So yeah, these are many, many just really sad and heartbreaking losses that are important to acknowledge and voice. Um, we lose our sense of belonging and connection with others. Of course, if we're not connected with ourselves, we can't be connected with somebody else, right? Then, if we're not being our authentic true self, how can we have an authentic relationship? Just is not possible. So, and also because of all the shame that we feel, we don't feel like we're part of this world. We feel like we're somehow separate, or, not really worthy of kind of being here, or being, you know, of that, yeah, that belongingness. We don't feel like we're worthy of sort of being really. Yeah, so it can lead to a very sense of separation and separateness. Even if you're with people, you could feel separate, um, and because you're feeling less than or more than. You're swaying the other way. We lose our creativity, our spontaneity, and our joy. We might still have a happy face on, and we might still, as children, experience those kind of pleasurable times and everything. So there's probably some happy moments that you remember, but I mean, like, our natural, very innate kind of joy, um, spontaneous creativity that just flows, that just naturally comes out of you as God is working his her magic through you. um, when we can be present, then we can experience that. But of course, we're not present. If you're, again, because of all the fear and all the shame and all the rest of it, we can't just be present and grounded in our bodies, right? Which is another loss, right? Just the loss of being able to be present and grounded and here in this moment, which is where everything is always happening. Yeah, so we lose that wonderful kind of creativity and the feeling of wonder and magic and all of that. We lose the ability to play, to really just be a learner in the world, be an explorer, and like, oh wow, what's this, and how do I do this, and let me try this. And we have narcissistic parents that shame us a lot, or that expect us to be doing things perfectly from the first time we try something. If we've been overcorrected for everything, no, that's not the way you do it, you do it like this, right? Then we start getting scared of trying things, like, oh, I got to do it perfect the first time. Yeah, there's a lot of, we often have a lot of perfectionism, so we don't feel like, oh, I can make mistakes. Like, yeah, that's another thing that's just been robbed from us. It's just that ability to play and learn and explore. The loss of intimacy with life and with God. Another very, very sad loss. And maybe you don't call it God. Maybe for you, God is just the feeling of nature, or maybe it's when you're singing, or whatever that feeling is, that sense that there's something bigger than you, that there's something, that's connecting everything together. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I've started to experience that again, and now that I know what it feels like, and it's quite, it's really, it's just beauty. I can only describe it as a sense of beauty and awe, and like just looking at a duck. I remember I was in grieving once, and I was sitting there looking at this duck, and I felt so close to that duck. I just felt like it's like this oneness. Yeah. So yeah, and we lose this as children, because, yeah, again, because of all the other stuff going on. How can we possibly feel any kind of intimacy or flow with life, with beingness, with God? We lose our identity. Again, connected to authenticity. Like, we lose who we are, right? If you boundaries, and if you don't, if your values aren't validated, like, oh, this is important to you, right? You lose who you are. You don't know, um, if everything is shamed and blamed, then you don't know who you are, what you like, what your preferences are, um, what's important to you at your core. So another really, detrimental loss. Well, we lose our power, of course, because as children, we had no sense of power. Our parents did not allow us to have any sense of, probably, any sense of even choice, or, yeah, just a sense of, yeah, like you have the ability to, you have power to change things in your world, and make things happen in your world. Um, yeah, we lost that ability as well, which kind of leads also into the loss of autonomy and independence. So often the narcissistic parent doesn't want their child to be independent. So they don't teach them things, they don't teach them maybe even just really basic things. So if you're left at the 18 going, oh, I have no idea how to really live my life, um, and even just, by shaming and invalidating you, they rob you of that, also the ability to connect with yourself, and what you want to do, and what's going on inside you. Yeah, and just your autonomy, your freedom as an individual, as a person with boundaries and rights and feelings and needs and all of that, unique preferences and abilities and talents. So another thing we lose is, that our natural gifts and talents. Um, a narcissistic parent might be jealous of their child having some gift or some natural talent, and they won't, they don't try to encourage that. They don't try to build on that. They're just like, oh, okay, maybe your parents sent you off to swimming class, but they didn't, wow, she's really good at swimming and she really likes swimming, and how can we, you know how can we help her develop this talent more? How can we, not with pressure, but just with, like, yeah, helping the child see um, their own beauty, their own gifts. And yeah, so a lot of losses here, a loss of our ability to have healthy, balanced relationships. Um, Probably most of us go into adulthood with no idea how to have a relationship, and we end up just in these codependent, unhealthy situations where we're just people pleasing, really. And yeah, so yeah, we lose that ability to experience what it's like to have real relationships. We also lose our integrity and our wholeness. Um, from childhood, we've broken ourselves into pieces, like, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, this I need to hide away, um, you know um, and so we become sort of these kind of fragmented selves. And yeah, and we're not living with integrity, because we're not doing, like, what we're doing is not matching our true values, or how we want to live. And maybe the one of the biggest ones too is the loss of our self-worth. Um, I feel like shame is such a core issue that I face every day. Um, yeah, just the feeling that you're worthy, that you're enough, that you're adequate, that you're fundamentally um, an okay person, an okay human being that deserves to be here, and deserves to feel safe and feel peaceful and feel joyful and all of that, and have abundance and have flow and ease in your life. So that is the many, many losses, and I'm sure there's probably more If you have any ideas or you would like to add to that, I'm more than happy to hear your comments. Yeah, and that is what I wanted to share with you today. I felt like there was one other thing. Yeah, I guess it's just being able to sit and sit with the grief of these losses, because they are, horrible and terrible losses that you have, yeah, that you've had. And yeah, it's good to acknowledge these things, that narcissistic abuse is not, we grew up probably minimizing everything, diminishing everything, denying it. Yeah, so really acknowledging what you have lost is really, really important. And knowing that you do matter. And yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say today. So I am Davina Shemaya, wishing you many, many blessings on your journey of awakening and healing. And you can find me at boldnessblooming.com. Thank you for watching.